Hi, I'm Jan Laue. I'm the current president of the Iowa Alliance for Retired Americans. And I'm not here to give another speech. Everyone has made some very good points. But what I want to talk a little bit about is what are we going to do about it? We're especially concerned about this chain CPI. And basically because of what Don said, that it is not a partisan deal. This is bipartisan. The president has it in his budget, and you can see where there is some weakness on both sides as far as talking about doing this chain CPI as a solution for the deficit, supposedly. But we have a unique opportunity right now because, as was mentioned before, Senator Grassley is actually on the budget committee that's supposed to be working on this solution that they're supposed to come up with by December 13th. So what we need to do is to contact Senator Grassley in particular and let him know that we are not in favor of a grand bargain that gives up benefits for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and the programs for the veterans. I believe that CCI, did you have your petition?
Yeah, so just real quick, Jan, thank you. I would say chain CPI is absolutely horrible and an insult to our veterans and the elderly who are paid so many dues to society. But I say we can go one step further. What I'll pass around for folks is a petition to Senator Grassley asking him to co-sponsor Senator Harkin's bill on Social Security, which eliminates the discussion on chain CPI. It puts in the CPI-E, which puts more money into people's pockets. It scraps the cap on Social Security. It is, in my opinion, a nonpartisan issue. Social Security benefits everyone, Republican, Democrat, Independent, and it should be a no-brainer. And I have extras for folks to circulate around, and they can get them back to you or Midge. And I would say that that sends a clear message to Senator Grassley.
Okay, thank you, Matt. So we urge you to sign on to that, to Senator Grassley. We also have a petition by the Alliance in opposition to the chain CPI. And I think, Midge, did you have that out to pass around to folks, or have they picked it up? I'm not sure. As Matt mentioned, Senator Harkin does have a bill that's a pretty good fix for this. It basically does three things. As Don Rowan mentioned before, one of the things that it does is it raises that cap on income that's taxed. Right now, if you make more than, it's 113,000 something, you make more than that, you're done paying into Social Security. You don't have to pay in anymore. So that means, the people at the bottom of that are below that, they've paid in, the full 6.2% that they have to pay in. What he does is raise that up so it brings more money in. The second thing he does is introduces or puts into effect the CPI-E, which is, Ron talked quite a bit about the CPI-U and what they've been using, and the CPI-E takes into consideration the medical expenses, the type of expenses that elderly people have. And so it's more appropriate for people who are on Social Security. The third thing that the Harkin bill does is it will increase benefits, especially for those at the bottom of the scale. I mean, you're talking about maybe $70 at the most, but it will help to increase benefits to help those people who are barely getting by. As Matt said, Senator Grassley has not signed on to this yet, and so we can encourage him to do that. There's also a bill in the House that does the same thing. It's Linda Sanchez's bill, but none of our representatives, none of our congressmen have signed on to that. So contact any of them and ask them to sign on, Democrat, Republican, either one. None of them has signed on to it yet. So that's another thing that you can do. We also have a community letter on the budget that it goes to a member of Congress, to all the members of Congress, and would be signed by organizations. So if your organization is interested in signing on to this with us, we'd sure welcome that and appreciate it. There may be other ideas about what we could possibly do to make sure that the chain CPI does not go into effect, and we're certainly open to that. If anybody has ideas now, go ahead. Yes.
One idea I thought of, chain CPI might be a good concept if it were applied to Defense Department purchases.
Anything else?
Yeah, has the Congress and Senate ever addressed the real reason why Social Security, especially, is in the mess it is today? You know, I understand it's, you know, it was used as a bank for everything else. You know, nobody wants to address that, though. I guess that needs to be pushed out there.
Well, the thing is, Social Security itself is not what's in the mess. I mean, Social Security is not really part of the budget.
Right.
It actually has a surplus right now. But as you say, what they've done is they've used that for something else, and now they don't want to pay it back.
Yeah.
But, you know, basically, Social Security should not even be considered when you're talking about the deficit or the budget. It's supposed to be on a separate track. So that's, you know, it makes the whole thing, you know, pretty, kind of a whole fake thing. It's just a ruse to try to get at Social Security.
Yeah, and they've got all the young folks. I'm accosted by folks, my grandkids' friends. What's wrong with these seniors? They want. They don't understand that we've paid forward for what we're trying to get now. Eh?
Well, we paid in, and remember in 1986, which most of us probably can remember, I see there's a few people that may not remember it here, but in 1986 when they changed that, they especially addressed the baby boomers that were coming forward, and so we put more money into it so that we would have a surplus, with the whole idea that when the baby boomers, when those of us who are baby boomers retire, there will be that extra. So you're going to see it get spent down because that was the whole intent of what they were doing. And now all of a sudden everybody's excited because, you know, the surplus is coming down, but it's there for a purpose. It's there because of the baby boomers.
We got $2 trillion in the trust fund. They got to pay that back, but the limit here is that they're not raising the minimum wage, so people can pay their Social Security. And the top end is they're not paying taxes to create a jobs program. You know, so it's a hypocrisy of our congressman, even Obama, for not. Of course, he's been trying to get a works program. But they're not addressing the revenue side of this whole issue. They want to cut, but they don't want to tax.
That's right.
And that's the only way we're going to get it. I pay taxes. I paid more taxes than John Deere did, as far as federal taxes. They didn't pay any taxes. You know, it's a crying shame. And they say the corporate tax is around 35%. That's about 15% what they actually pay. So our Democrats have got to get some backbone and start challenging the language out here that the right-wing Republicans are saying, because it's not true. They can be taxed. We had a 95% tax back in 1940 on anybody that made $25,000 or more. 95%. $25,000 at that time would be $350,000 today. So this whining and not paying their fair share, these corporations ought to be ashamed of themselves. And it's really, I hate to say this, but it's un-American as hell.
Right, basically, what you're saying is what we need is more jobs that pay a decent wage, and, you know, that would answer a lot of the problems.
Take away the tax.
Yes, Mitch.
Sure.
Jan, one of the things that has struck me as we talk about these issues of cutting income for people on fixed income is that I have interviewed some people who are on Social Security who are actually living below the poverty level, and they have worked all their lives, and now they can't even make it above poverty. It also strikes me that this idea of a chain CPI is just kind of sliding along. People really are not aware, and it's up to us to educate ourselves. And what educates better than anything else are personal stories of people, because that's what other people want to hear. They want to hear about Mary's neighbor. They want to hear about the guy next to me whose daughter is now on disability because she can't work anymore because she was injured working in a hospital. They want to hear about those people, and they want to know, this is how that would impact me. And I know it's probably not very popular to even talk about a real newspaper anymore, but there are letters to the editor, and they're the ones that get printed. The ones that are about you, the ones that aren't pages long, the ones that just tell a story. that is one way in which we can really get this information out. We can also talk to our neighbors about it. Like everybody said, it's not one party or another. It does come right down to the people who have and the people who are struggling to have. And we are a part of the people who are struggling to have. And we really have to speak out for ourselves. We have to get out there and say, I'm a retiree, I'm a senior, I'm a child of a veteran, I'm a spouse of a veteran, I lost my husband in the war. This is how this is going to impact me, and you just simply can't do that. So I think that's a charge that we can leave with today, is that we can just start, if you're on the internet, go on the internet, go on Facebook, go on a website, get the word out there, and make it in no uncertain terms. This is what the chain CPI is. It's a cut. It is a cut to the most successful social program we have ever had in this country. It is successful. There's no reason for it not to be. And you want to cut it, and we're saying no. You're not going to do it.
Thank you, Mitch. And as was mentioned before, we've all paid into it. It's not like this is some kind of a free handout. We're all paying into it. Anybody else?
Just a comment. I appreciate all the remarks and everything I've heard here today. I happen to be from your neighboring state, Illinois, but you can bet your sweet ass I'm going to take it home and pass it on. But out of all the categories of people we've talked about, and every one of them, you're absolutely right. But it's a close and dear thing to my heart. That's the homeless veterans. They're already in a plight. They're already down there along with the below the poverty level people. And yet they're veterans who have served this country in one way, shape, or form. And we tend to always, not through anybody's fault, tend to forget them. I just want to put that out. Thank you.
Thank you, and that's you know, a good closing to the remarks today too, as we're here, you know, because of the way this affects veterans in particular, not only with the Social Security and the veterans benefits, but also all the other programs that may go with it. So veterans would not just get one cut, they would get multiple cuts. And that's the really sad part of this whole thing, and the thing we need to fight the most. So thank you again for coming, appreciate it, do everything you can do. It'll be greatly appreciated by all of those here and by all of those who benefit from these programs. Thank you.